See, the world you're experiencing right now is nothing more than a mirror of what's going on inside of you subconsciously. Your whole life mirrors whatever your beliefs are. So if you believe that life is hard, guess what? Life will be hard. You are literally creating your reality based on what you believe, but the issue is you're not aware of what you believe because those beliefs usually aren't yours. You have adopted them from somebody else. So this is why we have to become aware by asking ourselves, why do I believe this and this? And then you can start to deconstruct, so then you can reconstruct a belief system that supports the life you want.
Nobody else at the moment has the power to change you unless you have that initial spark and say, I must do something. I don't want this anymore.
It sucks, but you have a choice to make. Do you want to sit down and go back to that guy you once were? No. So this is what it takes.
If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got.
In order for something new to come, something old must go.
Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Start working on yourselves, making these personal changes. We said it'll all change.
Just get started. Just get started. The longest time in the world is the hesitation between thought and action. It can actually be forever. You can hesitate for 1 second. That 1 second of hesitation, all of a sudden it turns into 5 seconds. And then 10 seconds. And then 10 minutes. And then just like that, you drifted into the eternity zone. 1 second became an eternity because something that was gonna happen is now never gonna happen, ever. Why is that? Because you hesitated.
Most of you guys focus on all of the things that you can see. A visionary specializes. Only those who can see the invisible can do the impossible. Sometimes when you have a vision for your life, other people will not have that same vision, so they will pass on you. I'm looking to unleash these visions and ideas on the world, because the world is an empty canvas waiting on new thoughts to think.
A lot of us are going through a hard time in life. Some people have been bullied, some people are just stressed out, some people are insecure, some people are fat and overweight, and the world puts a lot of this shit in your mind. I had to develop a mindset that was indestructible. I had to armor plate my mind. And it's about what you're saying to yourself, but it also comes with work. So whenever I was getting beat down, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever I was going through, just saying, I would put, you can't hurt me. Can't hurt me just became a message. I would say to myself.
I'm training people to get into their greatness, to begin to develop the courage to pursue dreams beyond their comfort zones. Because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. When you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are, so you act like you don't have any. And one of the reasons that Booker T. Washington said, judge a person not by what they accomplished, but what they had to overcome for their accomplishment.
You know what I think one of the best ways to crack ourselves open from a curse of self-obsession? I find that moments of radical and sudden empathy, radical and sudden compassion, immediately dissipate all those gnawing thoughts of self-doubt and self-loathing and self-pity and just desire. They're obliterated by this immediate communion with another being.
I believe that most human beings are only living at about 40% of their capability. There's something about the mind. The mind has the tactical advantage over you at all times. At all times of your life, the mind has a tactical advantage over you. Why is that? It knows what you're afraid of. It knows your insecurities. It knows your deep, dark lies. And it starts to push you away from that shit. It pushes you in a direction that is comfortable. Because life's all about feelings. You want the happy feeling. We don't want that feeling of this sucks. Why am I here? And you don't have any, so you can't answer those questions, so you leave. I started realizing that if in that moment you can answer those questions and you are now in charge of your brain versus your brain ruling you.
I tell people, you're gonna face tough times. You know, my favorite book says, think it not strange if you're faced to fiery furnaces of this world. But I affirm, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. Not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy.
Beliefs dictate your thoughts, dictate your emotions, dictate your actions, which produce your results. And your results, when you look at them, then just reinforce the original belief. And so we're caught in that construct, right? But the linchpin is the belief system. So the question is, how do I actually change what I believe? If my beliefs really do dictate my destiny, right? Which is, I'm not the only person suggesting that. The question becomes, how do I change my beliefs? And in that is an inherent challenge, because by definition, beliefs are that which are true.
Said collect ideas, not beliefs. If you collect ideas, right, it means that you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then that's interesting, and then this is interesting, and then that's also interesting. And some of these contradict each other, but it's okay, because I don't have to believe any of them. I can just entertain their feasibility and find them interesting, so I can collect all these different ideas. The problem with beliefs is that when you collect one belief, well, you knock offline any belief that contradicts that particular belief. And so if you get too stuck with your beliefs, you narrow your worldview.
If you know that at 40%, I'm feeling pain. At 40%, I'm feeling pain. That's where the 40% rule kicks in. Now it starts. Okay, I'm feeling pain. My mind's saying all this to me. It's saying, get out of here, run, flee. The fight or flight kicks in. Okay, we're done, we're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. You start to believe it, because the mind controls all. This is the time where you have to gain control back in your mind. It's okay, let me see if I can go 45%. And once you start giving yourself more and more hope and start realizing, okay, the mind starts to be, okay, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going right and you're going left. You start then controlling your mind.
I wish I had not waited 14 years. Somebody said, if you want to lose something, lose money. You can get that back, but don't lose time. There were 14 years I sat on the sideline. 14 years I said, I don't have an investor in me like Tony Robbins. 14 years that said, I don't have an MBA or PhD, and I can't compete with these guys. I have the complexion of rejection. 14 years. I silenced myself. And so I regret that, because there are some people that maybe if they'd heard my voice, their lives would have taken a different direction. And I can't get those 14 years back.
You know, and I kind of wanted just to trust, like, look, all the great things in my life have not happened when I was looking for them. All the great things in my life, all the success in my life always happened when I was in my zone, doing my art, doing my thing, and the right thing showed up, and all I did was seize it when it was there. When I get stuck thinking, planning, worrying about what's the next thing, I'm out of my flow. And it's when literally I'm not thinking about it, and I'm just trusting that the thing has showed up, and then I've seized it.
And people don't know how to achieve something. And because they don't know how, they don't spend a lot of time getting additional clarity. They don't spend time imagining what the future would look like with that thing, or being that thing, or creating that thing, because they get stuck on the how. And what I would suggest is that if you're willing to invest time in getting clearer around something or imagining, you build neural networks that represent the memory of an experience that has not happened yet.
You have greatness in you. I don't know you, but here's what I know based upon my own experience. You have greatness here, that you have the ability to do more than you could ever begin to imagine.
With that voice that a lot of us like to run away from, we all have it. We all have that voice that say, hey man, you're kind of wimping out right now. Goggins is saying, okay, David Goggins, you're a punk. Life made you this way. We can't live like this. We can't live in fear. We can't live in judgment. Cannot be afraid of that. That's Goggins. Goggins saying, all of you who don't like me, who don't want it, and that person then comes in. But you have to be David Goggins and say, man, I'm afraid of this. I'm here. Life made me this way here. You have to face that in that dark room. In that dark room is who you are. But in that dark room is where you have to create another human being that walks out of that dark room.
As you think about yourself, a reminder of the words of Howard Thurman, who said, there's a presence in each and every one of us that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only God you ever had or hear. And if you cannot hear it all of your life, will you be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls? When you recognize your greatness, no one will ever pull your strings.
The cost of wasting time. It's the most valuable resource we have, yet it's the one we treat the most casually. We let it slip through our fingers like it's infinite, like we have all the time in the world to do the things we want, to become the person we aspire to be, to live the life we imagine for ourselves. But deep down, we know that's not true. We know time is running out, and every second we waste is a second we'll never get back. We tell ourselves, we'll start tomorrow. We'll get to it later. We make excuses, convincing ourselves that we need more time, more preparation, more energy. We wait for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right feeling. And before we know it, days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. And we look back, wondering where the time went, wondering why we haven't made progress. The truth is, time doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for us to get ready. It moves forward, relentlessly, whether we're using it or wasting it. And the more we hesitate, the more we procrastinate, the more we let fear or doubt hold us back, the more we allow life to pass us by. You see, we act as if we're guaranteed tomorrow, as if we're guaranteed the next hour, but nothing is guaranteed. We assume that the opportunities we have now will still be there later. We think we can afford to wait, that there's no urgency, but the reality is, the only thing we're guaranteed is now. This moment, this chance to do something with our lives, to take action, to make a decision, to move forward. The clock is always ticking, and while you're sitting there, contemplating, wondering if you're ready, wondering if you're good enough, your time is slipping away. And that's the harsh reality. Time wasted is time you'll never get back. You can't reclaim it. You can't buy it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. We spend so much time planning, thinking, overthinking. We're waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect mood, the perfect set of circumstances. We tell ourselves, once everything lines up, then I'll start. But life doesn't work like that. There's no perfect moment. There's no flawless plan. There's only action, imperfect, messy, but necessary action. Because the longer you wait for perfection, the more time you waste. We have to stop waiting for permission. We have to stop seeking validation from others, hoping someone will tell us we're ready, that it's our time. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you your dreams. You have to go out and take it. You have to make the decision that now is the time, that you're done waiting, done making excuses. If you want to change your life, if you want to achieve something, if you want to be something more than you are right now, you have to act. You have to take that first step, even if it's small, even if it's uncertain, because action, no matter how small, builds momentum, and momentum is what drives change. The problem isn't that we don't know what to do. Deep down, most of us know exactly what we need to do to move forward. The problem is that we're scared to do it. We're afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of getting it wrong. But here's the thing. The fear of failure is costing you more than failure ever could. The time you spend avoiding action, the time you spend stuck in fear, is time you'll never get back. Ask yourself, how much longer are you willing to wait? How much longer are you willing to let fear dictate your life? How much time have you already lost? And how much more are you willing to give away before you decide enough is enough? The great tragedy isn't that we fail, it's that we don't even try. We let opportunities pass by because we think there will always be more time, more chances. But life doesn't owe you opportunities. It doesn't owe you time. You have to make the most of what you have, right now, today. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it will be hard. But discomfort is where growth happens. It's where change begins. We often wait for motivation, thinking we need to feel inspired before we take action. But motivation is fickle. It's not always going to be there when you need it. What you need is discipline. The discipline to act, regardless of how you feel. The discipline to start, even when you're uncertain, even when you're tired, even when you're scared. Because discipline, not motivation, is what will carry you forward. Discipline is what turns intentions into reality. The reality is, life is shorter than we think. We have less time than we assume. And one day, you're going to look back, and you're going to wish you'd taken action sooner. You're going to wish you hadn't let fear stop you. You're going to wish you hadn't wasted time waiting for the perfect moment. So what's stopping you? What's holding you back? Because I promise you, there is no later. There is no better time. There is only now. If you want something, go after it.
You want to know what's so dope about you? You've never given up. After all the stuff you've been through, you still here. I don't think you realize how amazing that is. People would have been giving up if they was in your shoes, but you didn't. And you should congratulate yourself for that, because that means blessings are coming your way in due time. This is a reminder just to tell you, you're doing amazing, yo. You gotta keep on going. And not many people can do that. So, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing amazing. Truthfully.
Talk is cheap, action is expensive. Action is always gonna cost you something, right? Are you willing to pay the cost? More importantly, are you willing to accept the cost?
It's sad that most people will never find any level of satisfaction in today, because the only thing keeping them going is the thought of escaping the present. If Friday afternoon is the only thing you look forward to, your life is painful. because there's a lot of time between Fridays. And when Friday finally arrives, it passes pretty quick. When the only thing keeping you healthy and mindful is the thought of tearing it all down as a reward. Your own demise is your priority, and that does not end well. If your life does not consist of achievement and overcoming on a daily basis, you have a problem to solve. But in my mind, there is no question of your capability to solve that problem.
You've always got to put purpose first. And you may not know what your purpose is. I can tell you this. People go, hey man, I want to find my purpose. And I have to remind them that purpose is not something that is lost, and therefore you're not just going to find it. You have to develop your purpose. And the place you start is putting off pleasure and putting off desires and focusing on purpose and duty first.
Life isn't fair at all. At all. So what are you gonna do about it? I knew that no one was coming back to help me. No one's gonna miracle me to be somebody special. All my situations were on me now. It's solely on me. It was on me. And that's the thing you have to realize. Everything you do, you may have some support, you may not, but it's on you. You have to make a decision whether you wanna be a badass or whether you just wanna be mediocre and everything's okay.
On the other side of your discomfort is where your real true journey begins. You know, you've decided, oh, this is my walk. You know, this is the way I stand. Oh, when I stop, this is how I stop, and this is what I do, and this is what I do with my hand. And when I take my first step, this is what I do, right? That's not really who you are. That's choreographed, and that is practice, and that is what you've decided is the coolest way from your point of view. But the minute that you trip and fall, and if you really want to know who you are, it's how you get back up. When you get back up, because you have no cool on you then, right? You're getting up in shame or you're getting up in pride. Whatever it is, that's who you really are.
Part of life is about getting hurt, about failing and getting back up and dealing with adversity and setbacks and realizing that what you thought was a short path is actually going to be the long path to success, and you're going to have to take that journey if you really want it.
This might come as a surprise to you, but you are a mirage. From a distance, you look like someone who's driven, someone who's going places with ambition. But the second you get up close, you realize that there's nothing there. No action, no consistency, and no discipline. You tell yourself that today's the day, that you'll finally take some action. Yet the moment reality hits, that all vanishes. And you wonder why you always feel so stuck. If you want to make progress towards your goals, you need to gain a substance. And the way you do that is by taking action. Start with an action that you'll take tomorrow, just one. And once you do that, you're going to do it the next day, and then the day after that. And once you've done that enough times, you're going to add another action that you're going to do consistently. And you're going to repeat that process over and over and over again. Eventually, you'll transition from a mirage into something solid. You will become real, someone with true substance, someone who, when they says that they will do something, actually gets it done. And once you get to that point, your goals will follow.
Here's the thing with success. Every time there's success, you have to be prepared for the darkness. So anytime something happens good to you, you have to sort of now look out for what's gonna anchor that, because you can't have sunshine without darkness. A lot of times when people get to success and don't know that the darkness is coming, that's when you see them trip and fall. But you've gone to the mountaintop. You can look at it. It's almost like a algorithm. It's like when they win that big trophy, something happens. If they don't shake it off quick, they can't get back into the game.
You know, I think we all have dreams. I think we all have a vision of ourselves living this type of life. But some people will never do anything close to taking even steps towards that dream. What the f is holding you back? At the end of the day, you are alone in this world. You are alone. You could lose everybody and still be here. Who and what the hell is holding you back? It is just you and your ignorance to go and figure out what it takes to go and do what you're supposed to do so that you can get to those dreams, so that those visions become reality. And you just get off about the thought
Now imagine that was really your life. Imagine that was really what you felt every single day. You got to see it, breathe it, you got to be it. You simply just don't want it bad enough. Get to work.
Just remember, you are still becoming okay. One day you will look back at this version of you, knowing that you are doing your very best. Just give yourself time.
The ways of a person, the thoughts, the deeds, the actions, it's all based around his heart. For what is a man? A man is his heart. A lying, cheating heart means a lying, cheating man. A loving, merciful heart means a loving, merciful man. A living heart means a living man. A dead heart means a dead man. Regardless to man's title, regardless to man's wealth, rank, or position, if the heart is not great, then he cannot be great. But if the heart is great, that man remains great under all circumstances.
There is nothing that causes you to be more motivated than a feeling that you're growing every day toward becoming more and more of what you're capable of becoming. Study after study shows that if you're not growing, you're stagnating. Is it people who are negative and depressed and have low self-esteem, or people who have sort of plateaued out in life?
The deeper I go, the less choice I have, the freer I feel. The more an ego I was, the more choice I thought I had, the more limited I was. What I have found through my experience is when we surrender, things may not go according to plan, but it will often be beyond your plan. And when you surrender, what I have found is you will always end up, always. This is a promise. You talk about promise, you will always end up in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, doing the right thing, even though the path that you take may not be the one that you most expect.
I guarantee you, if you learn this, every single good thing you are looking for will come chasing you. The law of mental transformation. If you are looking for money, stop looking. If you are chasing success, stop chasing. If every other day you have a new idea on how to generate success, you are on the fool's journey. As you evolve and grow, you align yourself with the qualities that naturally draw success towards you. Transformation is magnetic. Refine your character, expand your skills, enhance your mind, reject fear. The more you become a magnet for the opportunities and achievements you seek, the more success will find you. It's about evolving from within. Allow your growth to create the conditions for success to come to you.
Stop lying to yourself. You know what needs to be done, but you keep making excuses, pretending you're helpless. That's self-destruction. Second, you're wasting time and you know exactly how. You can't stick to anything because your mind is constantly distracted. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you forward or keeping you stuck? Surrounding yourself with people who lack ambition will inevitably pull you in the same direction. If they're not helping you grow, why are you hanging around them? You either decide to finally realize that you need to make these changes, or you decide you're happy with the outcome you know will meet you in the future if you don't take action right now.
Don't stress in the face of adversity. Make adversity something you desire for an opportunity to grow.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes. The ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Nassim Taleb said they are born, then put in a box. They go home to live in a box. They study by ticking boxes. They go to what is called work in a box, where they sit in their cubicle box. They drive to the grocery store in a box to buy food in a box. They talk about thinking outside the box. And when they die, they are put in a box. So think outside the box. Break the norms. Trailblaze. Ask questions. Remember when someone calls you crazy, they are still stuck inside the box.
That's what defines the greatest performers from the people who haven't quite made it yet. It's really their ability to say, oh, if I should train now, I will. Oh, if I should eat like this, I will. Oh, if I should do this, okay, then I will. It's collapsing that, knowing what you should do, and actually doing it, and making that one. And that's ultimately a choice.
Let me tell you a secret though. The most successful people in the world are also the world's biggest failures. Like if you look at Walt Disney, he was fired from his dream job as an animator because he lacked creativity. When you look at Michael Jordan, he was cut from his high school basketball team because he wasn't good enough, and he became the greatest basketball player ever. J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, she was rejected by 12 publishers, and that book went on to sell 500 million copies. And the creator of Honda said that success is 99% failure. So when you think of failure, just remember it's not the opposite of success. It is actually a pivotal part of success.
You're a fool when you start something new. And so if you're not willing to be a fool, then you'll never start anything new. And if you never start anything new, then you won't develop. And so the willingness to be a fool is the precursor to transformation. And that's the same as humility. And so if you're going to write your destiny, you can do a bad first job. You're going to get smarter as you move forward. That's the thing, is that so if something beckons to you, that's what happens here. Maybe the star that Geppetto wished on was the wrong damn star, but at least it was a star. And so you say in your life, well, something grips you and fills you with interest. And you think, well, should I do that? And the answer is, if not that, then something.
You know what life A is gonna get you. You've been doing it over and over and over and getting the same results. You want something different, you gotta do something different. It's that simple. You want different, you gotta do different. You want better, you gotta be better. You want change, you gotta change.
The true horror of existence is not the fear of death, but the fear of life. It is the fear of waking up each day to face the same struggles, the same disappointments, the same pain. It is the fear that nothing will ever change, that you are trapped in a cycle of suffering that you cannot escape. And in that fear, there is a desperation, a longing for something, anything, to break the monotony, to bring meaning to the endless repetition of days.
You listen to other people, to their opinions, to their wildness. It'll beat you up and you'll never be able to reach the goals that you want to reach in life. So the answer is to become internally oriented, to know what you want, to know what your goals are, to know what your desires are, to know what makes you unique, and to put your focus on that and not on other people's expectations of you.
And remember, before you do something special, just do something.
When people say to me, well, I can't predict my future, I'm in the unknown, and I always say the best way to predict your future is to create it. Not from the known, but from the unknown. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? What behaviors do you want to demonstrate in one day? The act of rehearsing them mentally, closing your eyes, and rehearsing the action.
Sometimes life is asking you to stop being so worried about everything that's gonna go wrong, when the reality is you're the one manifesting the thing that you don't want to happen because you're choosing to believe that that's what's gonna happen. It's always gonna feel scary to your ego to do something that it's never done before. That's what the fear actually is. So it just draws you back to going back to thinking that, I don't know if I should do this, when the reality is there's an internal part of you that knows it's time for change. Just learn to trust it, because you will come into realization after you make the decision that it was the right decision. And you'll feel how it actually helped you let go of that identity that's been dragging you down into a reality that you've already outgrown.
If your definition of success is win or lose, giving everything you've got and growing or learning along the way, then you're setting yourself up for success. I really think the biggest cheat code in life is just going after it and not being concerned of whether or not you fail at one specific task. Instead, understanding the big picture, what your long-term goal is, and knowing if you keep driving forward and never fucking quit, in the end you will succeed.
Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." So yes, staying true to yourself is a powerful act of rebellion. Your authenticity becomes your greatest strength in an environment that pressures you to fit in.
I prefer to be the kind of person who steps up and faces the challenge than the kind of person who stays below the line and avoids the challenge. What kind of person do you want to be? What do you want? How badly do you want it? How much are you willing to suffer? Those three questions our high performers face every day.
Don't aim for happiness, aim for purpose. Happiness is temporary. It comes and it goes like the waves of the ocean. So enjoy it as it comes and smile as it fades away. Purpose touches your soul. Now pursuing it doesn't always make you happy, and a lot of times it actually makes you frustrated and confused. It also sometimes brings you joy and adventure, but it is complex like a Renaissance poem. There's ups and there's downs, there's twists and turns, stagnation and chaos. It is pure, and that is the journey in which you will be fulfilled.
You only have one chance at this life. You do know that, right? And if you are always playing that supporting role, as Ed Milet says, when the credits roll at the end of your movie, at the end of your life, it's just gonna say supporting actor number 3, and it'll have your name. Don't you wanna be the main star? Don't you wanna be the key character in your life story? Don't you want to make the best decisions?
Human beings have the ability, unlike animals, because we have the ability to create our reality. And my reality is as I perceive it. You have the ability to create your reality. What you see here in your head is what you will see as your exterior. It's always like that. I walk into a party, I say, man, I don't like that guy. You know what? I'm right. You walk in and say, that's a wonderful guy. You're right too. We're both right.
Starting is the hardest part, but you've already done that. Most people never even get to this point. They let fear of failure, rejection, or embarrassment hold them back. But you're already ahead of the game because you took action. Don't waste time worrying about people who doubt you. They're just projecting their own insecurities. The ones who laugh at you for starting are the ones who are too afraid to start themselves. Keep pushing. Real ones will recognize your effort, and the rest, they don't matter.
So every time you show up and every time you're on point, if you do that on the regular, even if every day you're not even making 1% improvements, you're making 0.01% improvements, over time, those will add up, and those will add up exponentially. So on a day-by-day basis, I mean, you're not gonna expect anything crazy, but you can become completely unrecognizable.
You do whatever the hell you want. Just do it well. That's important. And don't do any damn thing that you will be ashamed of doing tomorrow, isn't it? What other people say, it doesn't matter. But you should not be ashamed of what you have done, isn't it so? This much you must keep. This much pride and freedom you must keep in your life. It doesn't matter, the whole world says you're wrong, but you are not ashamed of what you have done. That much you must always keep in your life. If that one thing, if you give up, I'm telling you, you'll live a very poor life. You may have everything, but you'll have nothing.
Everybody wants to judge themselves through the lens of a moment. They want to be cool right now, today, and they're asking themselves, what's the least I need to do to feel cool? What's the least I need to do to be successful? But once I stopped asking that question and I started thinking about really who I could become and really harnessing the human ability to adapt, what people need to understand, humans have become the apex predator not by being the strongest, not even by being the most intelligent, but rather by being the most adaptive to change. And when you realize all of us are born with nothing, no skills, no knowledge, nothing. We're a lump of flesh that can hardly hold our own head up. We can't take care of ourselves. We shit in our own pants. And our job isn't to be great today. Our job is to build ourselves brick by brick. And that is what separates the truly greats from everyone else. They're willing to put in that hard work. They're willing to reframe the question from what's the least I can do to what's the most I can bear. And when you're looking at yourself on that long timeline, when you're saying, what can I accomplish over the next 10 years? What is the amount of suffering and back-breaking work that I'm willing to put in and endure in order to become something extraordinary? That's the key, is you actually have to perform. It's not about convincing someone else that you're cool or looking good on paper. It's about actually delivering a result. It's about actually becoming capable of the extraordinary. But you have to understand the way the mechanisms, the very anatomy of the human works. And it works by building things up brick by brick. It works by starting out terrible at something, incapable of something, and being willing to put in the work to grind it out to become that. And when people can move beyond the words, when they can move beyond that bullshit, trite stuff that people say, and they can transcend that and see what it means to actually put in work, to actually get good at something, to really think about improvement. Everybody just wants to see this shit come back to them. They want the fucking heavyweight of the ring. They want the jewels. They want the riches. They want the house, the cars. But fuck all of that. Want the performance. Want to be great. Want to look at yourself and believe in who you've become. And even more importantly, if there's no one around to look, if there's no one around to impress, do I still push? And if at that point I'm still willing to push, if at that point in that circumstance I still want to be something and I still want to wring the potential out of myself and I want to actualize that potential, I want to actuate it, I want to actually do something with it even when nobody's watching, then I'll be proud of myself. Then I know I'll accomplish something, because that's real. That's beyond the bullshit. And that's where people have to get if you really want to do something. Stop worrying about the echo and start worrying about the shout. Believe in who you can become tomorrow, and let every day until the day you drop be about wringing that potential out of yourself. Be about building something and becoming something brick by brick. Putting in that day-to-day work of building something, of becoming capable of something today that you weren't capable of yesterday, of asking yourself how far you can go, of becoming obsessed with that process and no longer thinking about the end. And when you understand the difference between no longer focusing on being a champion and instead of delivering a championship performance, everything will change. Because it's the people who build themselves into someone who can give a championship performance that win.
Certainly the most destructive vice, if you like, that a person can have, more than pride, is self-pity. I think self-pity is the worst possible emotion anyone can have, and the most destructive. It destroys everything around it except itself. Self-pity will destroy relationships, it'll destroy anything that's good, it will fulfill all the prophecies it makes and leave only itself. It's so simple to imagine that one is hard done by and that things are unfair and that one is underappreciated, that if only one had had a chance at this, only one had had a chance at that, things would have gone better, you would be happier if only this, that one is unlucky, all those things. And some of them may well even be true, but to pity oneself as a result of them is to do oneself an enormous disservice. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, and you will be happy.
You don't have to scratch very far beneath the surface of most people's lives before you find something truly tragic.
The only way that change is going to take place is if you see the evidence of the collapse right in front of you. I think the challenge is that people have to wake up. And the question is, how uncomfortable do you have to become? And as I've said in the past, you don't try to fix this. We just figure out a way to create something better.
You don't have till you're necessarily 65, 75, 85, and none of us know when that moment's going to come. And I believe we don't necessarily have time. All we have to make an impact is this moment right now. Tomorrow is not some guarantee that we have. It's not a right that we have. It's a privilege.
Repatterning, it's a process of rewiring, it's a process of reconditioning, it's a process of self-reflection and awareness and changing those beliefs. When you begin to realize then, well, I can't respond to the same conditions in my life with the same emotions and the same thoughts, because if I believe that the way I feel and the way I think creates reality, if I'm reacting to the same thoughts and feelings equal to the conditions in my life in the same way, then I keep reaffirming the same life.
The attachment and the identification of this conditioned sense of self that we have learned to be based on our past, based on our experiences, based on our childhood. We identify with these thought forms and we identify with these belief systems, and then we hold tightly onto this sense of identification as a sense of me is who you are, who you really are. Sometimes when you find your purpose, the real challenges just begin.
You're alone. You're alone. You may have a shrink you're going to, you may have a best friend you're going to, but there's 24 hours in the day where you're alone in this brain. And your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways. And it wants to control you, pull you in these different pockets. You got to tell your brain where you want to go and how you want to go and how you want to get there. You got to control.
Life begins to throw these challenges and tests. Life's way of rewarding you is life believing in you. It knows, okay, you're on this path, so you must be ready. And so to me, the challenges and the hardships and the ups and the downs and the divorce and the breakups and the difficulties are just life's way of preparing your soul.
We're going to adapt and overcome now. Well, what's that?
The power to do whatever it is you say you're going to do, to live with personal integrity, that is a superpower.
Most people, they major in minor things. They focus on stuff that doesn't matter. You look at your body, where you're starting, without that, everything else is out the door. You don't want to be richest man in the graveyard. That's not going to do it. If there's energy, if there's vitality, if there's strength, it's going to show up in your relationship. It's going to show up in your business, it's going to show up in your life. That's an area you got to master. You can't dabble. It's too important. Emotions are everything. I mean, you got a ton of money, you got everybody loves you, and your primary emotions are pissed off and frustrated, then your life's pissed off and frustrated. It doesn't matter if you got $1 billion or 1 million people loving you, your life is not great. Relationships, intimate relationships especially. It's where the most juice in life comes from. It's where the most pain comes from most people. It's worth mastering instead of dabbling. You know, really looking at what are you going to do with your time and mastering your time. Instead of having a checklist, you cross it all off, you can mistake movement for achievement. I want to squeeze out of that time what matters, that creates value for me and for everyone I care about and love.
we have the world's information at our fingertips, we don't have the excuse of not knowing what to do anymore. Who doesn't know basically how to lose weight? Who doesn't know that if you want to have better relationships with people, you have to be fully present with them? Who doesn't know that if you want to do better at your job, you have to do the work, especially the hard stuff that other people don't want to do? We know these things. So there's no excuse anymore to say, well, I just didn't know how.
Most people focus on being significant. You live in a Facebook world where people fake their life, put new filters, make it look different than it really is, tell stories that, are totally full of it to make themselves look good. Because we live in this kind of false world where significance is more important than love, and it separates us. And the other one that we see most often is certainty. People want to be certain before they can do something.
We're lacking the ability to avoid distraction. Getting ahead in life is not just about doing the right things. It's about avoiding not doing the wrong things. That the root cause of why we become distracted is because we feel these internal triggers, these uncomfortable emotional states that we seek to escape.
Well, in the psychological realm, everyone's going to measure themselves differently because everyone values things differently. Some people value success or significance. Some people value love more. Some value just basic levels of certainty. We all have a need for certainty, that we can avoid pain and we can have some pleasure, some comfort. We all need uncertainty. We need variety, or we feel dead inside. If you're totally certain, you're bored. If you have total variety, you really freak out. And it's not a balance. It's learning which of these you need more as a person. Everyone's developed a different set of values in that area. The need for significance, to feel unique, special, important, the need to feel loved, the need to grow, and the need to contribute.
What would happen if I turned my whole life around? What would happen if all of a sudden I went and learned some things that could change it all? Most people's lives, they fail primarily because they don't open up the possibilities, so they never take the actions that could change their life. And because I asked, how can I turn my life around? Now, what can I do to make things work? I started getting new answers. They say, ask and you shall receive.
I don't think it's meant to be easy. Now, there's pain, but it'll pass, just like everything else. And since you know pain, your heart is stronger. Your soul understands more. You could live. Because there are moments when you couldn't.
It's not important that you become a good fighter in this world. And it's not important that you become a good spiritual guide in this world. It's important that you find a way to live a pleasant life and, in the best case, support other people that they also find the same. This is what it's about. No matter in which form you put it, in which from cultural background to put it. The main idea is, if you don't find this way of reducing the suffering of your surrounding, your suffering won't stop.
You learn things painfully. When you learn something painfully, a part of you has to die. That's the pain. When a dream is shattered, for example, a huge part of you that constituted that dream, maybe even the biological substrate of that dream, has to be stripped away and burned. Life is a constant process of death and rebirth. And to participate in that fully is to allow yourself to be redeemed by it. And so the good is that process of death and rebirth, voluntarily undertaken. It's like you're not as good as you could be, so you let that part of you die. And if someone comes along and says, there's some dead wood here. Man, it needs to be burned off. You think, well, that stuff's still a bit alive. When that burns, it's gonna hurt. It's like, yeah, well, no kidding. But maybe the thing that emerges in its place is something better. And I think this is the secret of human beings. This is what we're like.
When it comes to your growth, when it comes to becoming the best version of yourself, when it comes to you changing certain things, you have to view it as a process, and you have to give yourself grace to go through it and to go through that process. And part of the process is making mistakes. Part of the process is having bad days. Part of the process is having setbacks, right? And mess ups in the journey, right? And that's why awareness is so important. You have to be aware of when you do mess up, or when you do have a bad day, or you do make a mistake. You have to be aware of it so that you can catch yourself and reflect on it, so you can learn from it and grow from it, right? Because then right there, it's not a hindrance. Then it's an opportunity, and it's a lesson that helps push you even further. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to share? What projects would you like to support? What would you like to be known for? What skills would you like to learn? Some extraordinary things you'd like to do, ordinary things you'd like to do, right? Silly little things you'd like to do, very important things you'd like to do. Decide on all that stuff and write it down, write it down, write it down. That's how simple this stuff is. And it's your own private list. If it's really private, you know, on your list, put some stuff in code where nobody can understand it. If this list, decide what you want and write it down. Make a list.
If a tree falls in a forest, but nobody sees it or hears it fall, did it fall? The same goes for doing work. If you do work, you don't tell anybody about the work you do, and nobody sees the work you do, then does the work get done? In their minds, from their perspective, no. For you, you might be thinking, I'm over here working my butt off. Why do people not understand what's going on? And it's because you probably are a phenomenal executor, but you're not yet a phenomenal advocate.
The process of finding yourself begins first with unfinding, sorting through all you're not but thought you were, digging past the opinions that define you, past the labels, masks, and words, underneath the love you've been given or the love that's been withheld, past the self-preserving lies to the secrets you'd never tell. It will feel first like a funeral, like who you are is being ripped away, but eventually you'll find that mourning is just another word for making space. Stay with the discomfort. Be open to the change, clear out the clutter until nothing much remains. And once your home is clean, your twisted knots unwound, and losing all you thought you were, you might finally be found.
This is us right now zoomed in, right? Here's a day, or here's an hour, or here's a minute. But as we zoom out, it looks like this. Now those events are just situations that happen, but they don't mean anything until we add perspective to it. Perspective determines how I experience a situation. Well, how is it we both experience the same thing, but we don't actually experience it the same way? This is what perspective does. So why am I saying this? Nothing is really good. Nothing is really bad until you say it is. This is how you eliminate suffering in your life. This is how you eliminate the heartache, the struggle, the adversity. This is how you get rid of it or how you move through it. It's through you consciously shifting your perspective. Because when I consciously shift my perspective, now I'm determining how I experience this.
The best piece of advice that I ever received is that you are what you think about. Everything that you think about, you become. You become what you think about. Thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to behaviors. Behaviors leads to lifestyle. Lifestyle determines your destiny. So everything begins in the mind. If you can control and wield your mind, you can very much determine your destiny. You decide, and you commit, and you determine your mindset, and you wield it. You can become successful.
most important thing in business is honesty, integrity, hard work, family, never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this world. It's either one or two things. Either you're somebody, or you're nobody.
Small minds discuss other people. Good minds discuss events. Great minds discuss ideas.
There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living.
40 years ago, March 27th, 1975, it was 40 years ago, I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I see behind me this woman under the dryer. She said, "Somebody give me a pen, give me a pencil, I have a prophecy." March 27, 1975, she said, "Boy, you are gonna travel the world and speak to millions of people." But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected, I've been directed, I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. You have these dreams. Dreams without goals remain dreams. Dreams without goals. Yearly goals, life goals, daily goals, monthly goals, hourly goals, minute by minute goals. Dreams without goals are just dreams. And they ultimately fuel disappointment.
I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit.
Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency.
You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something.
Every day you have to plan. Plan to fail. We fail to plan. Hard work works. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. So never give up. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand don't give me my money come payday cause he like me. He give it to me cause he owe me. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. Now don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you.
Because taking risk is not just about going for a job. It's also about knowing what you know and what you don't know. It's about being open to people and to ideas.
And anything you want, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up.
Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you.
Every passing minute is another chance to turn it all around.
We gave meanings to the experiences of our life, or other people gave meanings to the experiences that we were having. What you believe will dictate your thoughts on a moment-by-moment basis. And then that emotion then dictates what actions you do or do not take. And they're always aligned, right? Your beliefs dictate your thoughts, dictate your emotions, dictate your actions, which produce your results. And your results, when you look at them, then just reinforce the original belief. That which we tend to pay attention to is aligned with what we believe, and so that's all we get. So if you want, more happiness, if you want more wealth, if you want deeper relationships, if you want to have more joy, you want to have more fun, you want to achieve your full potential and really make an impact in the world, then what's really important is to get clear on what that could look like for you, and to make sure that what you believe is congruent with that outcome. Because if what you believe is not congruent with that outcome, just neurophysiologically, you're working against yourself. Clarity is intimately connected to imagination. So as we're getting clear on something, we're beginning to see what that thing is that we're getting more clarity on. If you're willing to invest time in getting clearer around something or imagining, you build neural networks that represent the memory of an experience that has not happened yet.
Step away from that fear and begin to see that there's wonder and beauty and opportunity all around. It begins to activate the part of your brain that's full of imagination and creativity and beauty. We are meaning machines. We not only give meaning to meaningless things, we make meaningful things meaningless.
But the moment your mind is under the law of generosity, growth, development, unfolding, giving, compassion, kindness, radiance, the moment that happens, you come under the right use of the law. The moment you realize you're here to give something, then all thoughts of not enoughness and lack, limitation, fear, doubt, worry, and separation begin to dissolve. And your premise every single day of your life is, I am, and I've got it all. I am, I've got it all. Your destiny begins to unfold because you're not here to get from the world. You're not here to get, you are here to let and walk in that awareness even before it manifests, even before you can see it.
You gotta find a story that's gonna empower you to act. Complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complex you make it, the less likely you're gonna execute. If you're creative enough, can you find the answer? Yes or no? If you're determined enough, can you find the breakthrough? Yes or no? If you're passionate, loving enough, can you get someone to help you? Yes or no? If there's no way that you're committed, can you find the money even if you don't have it? Yes or no? So I said creativity, decisiveness, passion, honesty, sincerity, love. These are the ultimate human resources. And when you engage these resources, you can get any other resource on earth.
Owe it to yourself to take it all the way. See how much you can get out of life. See who you can become. See what you can build. What are the biggest goals and dreams that you have that you've been avoiding because you've been holding on to the doubts and the ideas and the thoughts of other people? You've allowed them to infiltrate your mind and to become your own. You need to build your vision and chase your dreams every single day.
Maybe you need to hear this right now. That scary thing you're afraid to do, it's only scary because it's unfamiliar. You don't need to attach a story to the fear that means you're incapable, that you're going to fail, or that people are going to judge you. Sure, maybe those things can happen, but 9 times out of 10, your ego is just trying to keep you safe by keeping you tethered to what you know. So just a little reminder, things are way less scary once you decide to take the leap.
You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There's a saying, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift.
Forgive yourself.
if you're holding on to things you've done or thoughts you've had, if your demons have won over in times that you wish you knew better. Because the fact is you didn't, and if you had, then consider it a warning to get it together. But if you can't yet, be forgiving of that too. This world can twist and chain you with challenges, and though that's no excuse, the leaves can't help but change their colors. When the space we consume gets colder, but the trees don't die, they still grow older, their branches fall, lead a little too far one way. Even if they do crash over a home or they let disease invade from their seeds, they can start again, and you can do the same. So forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, because the person you embodied yesterday does not define your future. But what will is what you carry forward, and if not for you now, then for the little one you once were. You had these hopes and dreams to follow. Without a doubt, you are the cure to ease all of that agony. Forgive yourself for letting it persist. We don't get many chances, so before you go and lose it.
Please, bro, don't spend another 6 months doing the same thing. You must find acceptance with the reality of this world. Change is pain, but so is comfort. Trying to learn is pain, but so is staying ignorant. Working out is pain, but so is being unhealthy. Time is our greatest enemy, and it doesn't consider how you feel or your decisions. So waiting for next Monday to start off right is useless. Start now. Self-improvement is not a goal, but a lifestyle. It's something that you will be in the constant pursuit of every day, even when you're wiser, stronger, and richer.
Life is like the changing seasons. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. And see, that's how life gets better for you, not by chance, but by change.
I think if we could zoom out and see our lives through the eyes of heaven and the whole universe, we would stop worrying so much, and we would probably start celebrating more. We would probably start living. That perspective, that zoomed out perspective is so hard for us to find and see. And so really we're stuck with our perspective, the zoomed in version, the daily life. And it's sometimes hard to find hope within that because we don't see what's coming and we don't understand what's coming. But I think that's what faith is. I think that's what hope is hoping that maybe there's a different perspective for all of this.
The decisions in your past do not make you. The decisions in your past do not break you. You are someone that can grow from where you're at. You are someone who has learned so much from what you've been through. You are someone that's armed with new knowledge on how to grow in this life, on how to move in this life, on how to serve in this life, on how to love in this life. Go forward. Trust yourself.
And what the top regret of dying people was that they didn't have the courage to be themselves. And the third top regret was that they didn't have the courage to express their emotions. They pretended to be happy when they were not, and so on. So the question for the rest of us is, do we want to wait till some terminal illness wakes us up? Or should we just confront the fact that in so many ways we're afraid to be authentic because we're so afraid of being rejected? And as children, we didn't have much choice. As adults, can we develop that freedom to be ourselves?
Most people spend their lives busy, but never actually move forward. So, are you growing or are you fooling yourself? Ask yourself these following questions. When I look back, am I tackling challenges I once avoided or just repeating the same routines? Am I saying yes to things that make me uncomfortable, things that could redefine my future? Do I feel more resilient, or am I just getting by and calling it strength? Is my time going to activities that build my future, or do I just fill my days? If these questions make you question your path, that's the point. True progress is uncomfortable. It requires breaking the cycle. So next time you doubt yourself, check if you're moving forward or just moving in place.
Master patience, as this journey is long and treacherous. As the chaotic world moves around you, you must remain grounded in your pursuit of legacy. Distractions will come your way, things won't go as planned, you will experience moments of doubt and uncertainty, but you must remain patient, remain still, disciplined, and focused, because the only thing that separates you from everything that you've ever wanted is time.
You don't get to choose your best days. They don't come by command. In fact, your most crucial moments, they're likely to show up when you feel like giving nothing. When every fiber in your body screams to stay down, to avoid the fight, to sit it out, life has a way of dropping challenges right at your feet. Every great opportunity, every crucial moment that changes the course of your life gives you one chance to get it right. Life doesn't come with a rewind button or a second take. Sure, sometimes you get a second attempt, but I guarantee you, the impact of succeeding the first time is 1,000 times stronger. The trajectory of your life changes when you show up fully prepared the first time. You won't be surrounded by failure. You won't be haunted by what-ifs or the stains of inadequacy. There will be no air heavy with the stench of regret. Every success you earn the first time adds up, lifting you higher, pushing you further. But you only get there if you're relentless, even on your worst days. To be truly unstoppable, you have to be prepared for those days when everything goes wrong, yet you still come out on top. That's not luck. That's earned strength. That's hard work. And it comes from making a promise to yourself to train so hard you're unbreakable. It means doing the work even when nobody's watching. You train for the days when you feel like you're worth nothing, because those days will come. You prepare so that when it matters most, you can look at yourself in the mirror and know without a shadow of a doubt that you have the strength to overcome, even when every part of you wants to stay down. You don't practice when you feel like it. You don't train when it's convenient. You do it because every rep, every moment is a deposit in the bank of resilience. A reserve that you'll draw from on those days when life demands more than you think you have, because that's what it takes. You need a tribe that holds you to the highest standard, especially on the days you can barely hold yourself up. There's no shortcut. There's no secret. Transformation is about embracing the grind. It's about respecting the pain that shapes you, the struggle that forges you. You have to learn to fall in love with the process, to find satisfaction in every moment that tests you, every task that pushes you to your limits. The truth is, the process will break you down before it builds you up. It will force you to confront your weaknesses. It will make you doubt yourself, and it will strip away any illusions you have about who you are. But that's the point. Real strength isn't about comfort. It's about stepping into the fire over and over and coming out sharper every single time. You need to be ready, not just when it's easy, but when every single part of you wants to run. And the only way to do that is to commit to the process, day in and day out, no matter how tired, no matter how defeated you feel. Because it's the process that will shape you into someone who can stand up, fight, and conquer, even when every part of you is screaming to quit. You'll have a strength that's earned, not given. A strength that comes from choosing to be better every day, no matter what life throws at you. When you train harder, you don't just raise your standards. You create an entirely new level of resilience, a level that few will ever reach because they don't have the guts to push past their own comfort. But if you want to be good enough on your worst day, you have to demand more from yourself on the days you feel strong. Every moment counts. Every decision to keep going counts. And every time you train beyond what's expected, you're creating a version of yourself that won't back down, no matter what. Comfort is a lie. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. And if you're chasing comfort, you'll never reach your full potential. You'll never know what you're truly capable of. But if you can choose greatness over comfort, if you can commit to doing what's hard, even when it's the last thing you want to do, you'll become unstoppable. Every time you choose to push harder, to go further, to demand more, you're choosing greatness. You're telling yourself that comfort isn't enough, that you refuse to be mediocre, and that you're willing to sacrifice convenience, to give up excuses, to put in the work, no matter the cost. Because comfort doesn't make champions. Comfort doesn't create legends. And if you're serious about winning, if you're committed to conquering every obstacle in your path, you'll need to abandon any attachment to comfort. You'll need to choose strength, resilience, and grit. And that choice starts with every moment, every action, and every single step you take, even when it's the hardest thing in the world. So remember this, life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't wait for you to be at your best. When the moment comes, you won't get to ask for a better day, a better time, or a second chance. The only way to guarantee victory, even on your worst day, is to become the person who is prepared to win, regardless of the circumstances. You must be that good. You have to build yourself into someone who can step up when everything else tells you to stay down. You train, you push. You surround yourself with people who refuse to let you quit. You abandon comfort, you choose greatness, and you commit to being unbreakable. On the day you face your greatest challenge, when your opponent is at his best and you're at your worst, you will know you are ready. Because you've chosen to be stronger, you've chosen to be prepared, and you've chosen to be unstoppable. And that is how you win.
Start small. Show yourself that you can give yourself one command and one follow through.
Hey man, lately I've been in a funk. I feel like everything is slipping. I feel like I'm not where I should be, like I'm not who I'm meant to be. I'm seeing all these other people getting ahead and I'm here feeling like I'm running without ever really moving forwards. I'm on this continuous conveyor belt, stuck in no man's land, stuck in limbo. And I'm tired. This isn't where I was meant to be or who I was supposed to be. And the deepest feeling that I have is, why? Why am I still here? But in all of that frustration, and in the friction of that pain, a deep, dark part of me speaks and says, is that the best you've got? Have you genuinely given it your all? Did you truly go all chips in? And to be honest, to be really honest with you, a quiet, shameful voice is whispering, no, I haven't. Our society celebrates conquerors and shames surrender, but what if I told you surrender can actually be a powerful, empowering thing? What if by surrendering we actually find acceptance? And in that acceptance we become the conquerors that we're seeking. Now I'm not talking about giving up, let me be clear. I'm talking about the kind of surrender that is about surrendering to the process, surrendering to the work, the art of being studious. Vedic philosophy talks about this, that when a man sets aside his pride and he abandons his ego, only then can he truly begin with earnestness the journey of self-development and spiritual growth. In other words, when you reach your lowest point, we become opened to the greatest change. I'm not surprised that I am where I am, and you shouldn't be surprised you're getting the results you're getting, because What worked for you then, it's not going to work for you now. And amongst the darkness and demons of doubt, what we need to realize is that we are social machines built but also programmed to repeat patterns. And in the early days, these new patterns that we find or adopt, they bring us the excitement of new results. When you do something new, it gives you a new fix, a new result. But over time, these things decay. And it's your job to keep continually defining yourself, to abandon and then enlighten our old selves. The shedding of one shell into the next and the next and the next for lifetimes. The only constant in all of this is that things are impermanent. So don't hold on to what is. Life is like a river, and the waters that are still, that you're trying to hold on to, are the same waters that crash and swirl around you. So change. And if you want to win, if you want to succeed, if you want to go beyond this, the choice isn't to exit, it's to engage. You need to sit down and have an honest conversation with yourself about the kind of life you want to live, the kind of human being that you want to be, the sacrifice and investment that you are going to have to make in order to get there. And above all else, what are the things that you are going to personally get fulfillment from? So stay away from social media for a time if you need to. Focus on the goal, focus on the mission, focus on the vision. Don't chase things because you think it might mean that people rate you more. I want you to rate you more. I want you to do it for you and nobody else, because that's what real success is. That's a real like. Not the kind that you get from your feed, but the kind that you get from the beating of your own heart, your own drum. And remember, it's okay not to know or to have it all figured out. You don't need a grand map of your reality and your future. Your path, it's made by walking it. So take it one step at a time. Take it one moment at a time. Have micro goals. Sometimes in life, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you just gotta keep moving forward, and I promise you, you will come to a better place.
Self-mastery. Power begins from within. If you're aware of who you are, if you're aware of what you're good at, what you're not good at, if you're able to see how emotions kind of govern your life, if you can learn what your weaknesses are and how to control them, you can't ever get complete control, but awareness is almost enough. Slowly through this process of knowing who you are and understanding other people and how they operate so you don't make stupid mistakes in life, you can increase that little tiny margin more and more and more, and you will be a person of power.
We're trying so hard in our lives to fit in. We try to fit into certain groups, certain frats, certain sororities, among certain friends. Yet the people we idolize are the ones that stand out. But when you're prepared, there is no fear. There is no fear of failure. Because even if you've walked out of something and you feel like you failed at it, your preparation is so strong that you're gonna take that failure and turn it into the outcome you desire. And most people stop at failure. We've all failed at things. I'm gonna continue to fail at stuff. It's the most powerful tool you can use, but it all depends on how you use it. A scalpel in the hands of an individual, it can do unbelievable damage. In the hands of a professional, of a doctor, it saves lives. So it's the same thing with failure. It's how you use it. It's that drive inside of you. It's what we talk about, the dark side. The dark side is filled with failure, but it's the fuel that burns you like something that's never burned inside you before.
And on some days, you gotta just listen to your soul. And you gotta say, I'm gonna leap, I'm gonna get to the edge. Most people are at the edge, and you're standing at the edge, and you're watching everyone else fly. That's Pimp My Ride, Watch My Crib, all this stuff. Watching people's lives on Facebook. You're at the edge, watching someone else live, wondering what it's gonna be like when you jump without ever jumping. And I'm just here to tell you, jump. Because only three things can happen. You're either gonna jump and fly, or you're gonna jump and fall on something soft, or you're gonna fall down hard. Either way, you're gonna get back up. You already know you got what it takes to get back up. Your greatest fear is not that you will fall. Your greatest fear is that you will live a full life and never fly. That you never leaped. You're not afraid of dying. You're afraid of dying before the world sees who you really are, before they really get your fingerprint, before they really get your contribution, before they really feel you. That's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to leave this place without us knowing you were here.
There's a process. The process begins by first knowing what you really love. And believe me, a lot of people have no self-awareness. They don't even really know what it is that they were meant to do in life. They loved music when they were a kid, but then they got into law or whatever because of their parents, and then they don't know who they are anymore. Well, do I really like music? You got to go through that process first of figuring out what it is that really connects to you in a deep, visceral way, what you loved when you were a kid, what still excites you. Once you go through that and you understand it and you've got some clarity about it, okay, how do I incorporate that in my life?
What makes people different is a flip in their fucking mindset. All those things that happen to you in your life, all those bad things, all those things that you blame other people for, they're now yours to own. You gotta figure out a way to reprogram your mind to get outside the box. And a lot of people will listen to this and they'll be motivated, they'll be fired up. They'll be so fired up it's not even funny. Motivation is just kindling. It starts the fire. But that kindling, once one raindrop hits that little kindling, it's burnt out. It has to be something that's deep down inside. So motivation is like this. If you're married and your wife is okay and your bills are paid and the kids are good and the dog's good, if everything is good, you can find some motivation. Because while your life is happy, it's that motherfucker that wakes up in the sewer every fucking day, has nothing to fucking go home to, has nothing. Bills aren't paid, doesn't know when fucking next meal's coming, doesn't know shit, and still says, fuck it. I am going to do what I have to do to get to where the fuck I have to go. That's the difference between motivation and drive, and then soon, obsession. Obsession makes a person, makes other people, like, so when you're around somebody that's obsessed, most people don't have any fucking idea what to call you. So they call you crazy. They call you crazy because they don't understand where you're trying to go.
Right.
What the fuck you're trying to do, what you're trying to be. So to the normal person, which we're all normal, we're all very normal. Once they turn that mindset to a point where they no longer want to be so-called normal, that's when you start to find out that motivation is not enough. It's not enough. You have to be that person who, no matter what's going on, if you're a big time runner, you don't care what temperature is. Like a bunch of people I run with, guess what they do every morning, every night? They look to see what the fucking temperature is gonna be tomorrow.
Right.
What's the temperature gonna be? So am I gonna run inside or run outside? A person that's obsessed and wants to just get there, they don't give a fuck what the temperature is. They no longer care because they know no matter what's out there, no matter if it's snowing, if it's a damn tropical storm, if it's 20 below, they're gonna run. They don't care. So there's no need to waste the time to look. I'm just gonna go. And that's how you wanna get your mind. It doesn't matter what the fuck's out there, what's in front of me. Because a motivated person is gonna look. Because that weather is gonna fucking change their motivation. Up or down. Oh, it's 70 and sunny. I'm motivated. Oh, it's 30 in a blizzard. Fuck that. I'm gonna go inside. An obsessed person doesn't care. They get the fucking job done. When I was in hell, I wasn't able to be in hell and be calm. Hell makes you anxious. Hell makes you want to get out of it. It's that person who has the ability to be in hell and think very calmly, very rationally about what the hell is going on. What's the truth? What's the reality? Why is my dad this way? Why are these kids calling me nigger? Why? You have to be able to piece people apart. Take it down, dissect it, and see what's going on. So back then, I didn't have those skills. I had no skills. All I saw was a whole bunch of kids like me, but I no longer saw that. All I saw was the spray painting on my car, me being called nigger. That's all I saw. My lens was this big. It was very small fucking lens, when now my lens is huge. I see everybody for who they are and what they are. So that's the one thing that changed in me was my reality. We always paint a fucked up reality that's not even true. It's reality what we think is true because our lives aren't what we want it to be. I realized that God wasn't gonna give me a get out of jail free card. And from the time I was born until the time I was 19 years old, my life had these hurdles. I constantly hit obstacles, obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And I had to figure out how to manage suffering, how to deal with it, because it'd be part of my life forever. At least that's what I thought. So in order to deal with it, I had to be able to conquer it and overcome it and deal with it and know that in this suffering, there has to be some kind of growth. With every obstacle, I look at it as friction now. Without friction, there is no growth. You have to have friction in your life to grow. So I started looking at all these different things versus the woe is me mentality, like, oh my God, look at my life's so fucked up. I come from this fucked up family, I'm being beaten, I'm being abused mentally, physically. I started looking at it as the perfect trial ground. So I had to flip it upside down and say, okay, I'm suffering tremendously, mentally. Use this to your advantage versus your disadvantage. So that's what I did. Versus looking at it as like, oh my God, woe is me, I'm never gonna get out of here. I looked at it as, okay, hang on a second. If I can overcome this, if I can find some power in this, some way to get through this, that right there will be the fuel for the rest of my life. And so I found great strength in suffering. Great strength in it because why? Through all of that, it started to callous my mind over the victim's mentality. You have to recognize what you've gone through. And that right there gave me pride. I realized that very few people could turn upside down what I did. I was able to turn upside down every negative thing in my life, everything, and use it for power. Because on the other end of suffering is greatness. It's not over here. So a whole bunch of us, we put ourselves in this great box. And in that box, there's no suffering in it. So what we do is we shelter ourselves from greatness. So for me, for instance, I was 300 damn pounds at one time in my life. Spray for cockroaches, made $1,000 a month. I was living in that box. I would sometimes look over the box and I saw hell, suffering, storms, avalanches, tornadoes. I don't want to go over there, but I knew if I can get through that shit mentally, on the other side was a 185-pound person who's a Navy SEAL, went through Ranger School. Only person to do this, only person to do that, only person to do this. But that's through all of that shit. All that shit I have to go through. So you peek over the box and you go back in and say, oh, I'm okay being 300 pounds, making $1,000 a month. I'm okay over here.
Because that hurdle is suffering.
It's suffering.
And when you're willing to go past suffering and see that suffering is one of the best ways you can grow, that you can overcome, because you can suffer for the long term. You can suffer slowly, or you can go through pain and then experience what's on the other side.
And on the other side is where you really start your journey. People think they start their journey because they're born. No, there's a lot of people in graves who have lived 100 years and have never started their real journey. Your real journey starts when you go outside that box and you start climbing mountains. You start climbing mountains. And you think you get to the top of the mountain, you go down the other side of it, think, I'm here. And you look up, fuck, there's another fucking mountain. And it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. And just when you're getting ready to quit, you crest that final mountain, you get down and you look, and there you are. And it starts to make sense to you then. It doesn't make sense to you until you get outside that fucking box. I'll talk to so many fucking people, and what I say is not for everybody. So many people don't have any clue on what the fuck I'm saying because they're in this box, and it's their brain. The mind's a very powerful thing. It has a tactical advantage over you all the time. It knows your fears, it knows your insecurities, it knows where you don't want to go. So it will guide you away from that. And that's why the mind will always win until you reprogram it. It will always win until you fucking reprogram it.
The power of ownership. Taking control of your life. There's a truth that many people avoid, something that's uncomfortable to face but necessary to hear. Your life is in your hands. Everything that happens to you, everything you want, everything you dream about, it all starts and ends with you. And until you accept that, until you take ownership of your life, nothing will change. We live in a world where it's easy to point fingers, to shift blame, to say that the circumstances aren't right, that the economy is tough, that the world is unfair. And you know what? Sometimes it is. Sometimes life throws you challenges you didn't ask for, things you didn't plan for. But the reality is this: complaining about your circumstances changes nothing. Wishing things were different changes nothing. What changes things is action. What changes things is ownership. So many people are waiting for life to give them a break. They're waiting for the right opportunity, the right moment, the right set of conditions. But here's the hard truth. Life isn't going to hand you anything. It doesn't owe you anything. If you want something, you have to go out and take it. You have to decide that no matter what, you're going to make it happen. Because the time you spend waiting is time you could spend building, improving, and moving forward. Think about it. Every day you wake up with a choice. You can either take a step toward the life you want, or you can stay exactly where you are. It's that simple. And too many people are stuck in the same place, living the same day over and over, because they've convinced themselves that they don't have control, that life just happens to them. But the truth is, your life is the sum of your choices, your actions, and your mindset. You have far more power than you realize. We all face obstacles. We all deal with setbacks. We all have moments where it feels like the world is working against us. But the people who make something of their lives, the ones who build something from nothing, are the ones who refuse to be victims of their circumstances. They refuse to be defined by their past, by their mistakes, by the things that didn't go their way. Instead, they take what they have, even if it's just a small opportunity. Even if it's just a glimmer of hope, and they run with it. And here's something important. Motivation isn't enough. You can listen to all the motivational speeches in the world. You can get fired up, you can get inspired, but if you don't take action, if you don't do something with that energy, it fades. Motivation is a spark, but it's discipline that keeps the fire burning. It's action that creates change. Too many people are sitting on the sidelines, watching their own lives go by, waiting for someone to tell them it's time to start. But no one's coming to tell you that. There is no permission slip, no approval you need. If you want to make your life better, if you want to build something real, you have to give yourself permission. You have to decide that today is the day you stop waiting and start moving. Here's what I believe the world needs to hear right now. Stop letting your potential go to waste. Stop hiding behind excuses, behind fear, behind what ifs. Yes, the world is tough. Yes, the circumstances might not be perfect. But life is never going to be perfect. If you keep waiting for things to align, you'll spend your whole life waiting. And by the time you finally decide to act, you'll realize that you've let too much time slip away. We need to understand that every day is an opportunity. Every day is a chance to do one thing that brings you closer to the life you want. It doesn't have to be a big step. It doesn't have to be life-changing in the moment. But it has to be something. One workout. 1 hour working on your dream. One call to a person who can help. One decision that takes you out of your comfort zone. Because those small actions, they add up. They build momentum. And before you know it, you'll look back and see that every small step was part of something bigger. But here's the catch. You have to start now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when the conditions are better. Now, you have to stop waiting for everything to be perfect, because perfection is a myth. You have to be willing to fail, to stumble, to look foolish, because that's how you grow. That's how you build a life you're proud of. People often ask, what if I fail? But what if you don't? What if taking action, even when you're scared, even when you're uncertain, is the very thing that changes everything for you? What if, by moving forward today, you set a chain of events in motion that leads you to where you want to be? And even if you do fail, even if things don't go as planned, you'll be stronger for it. You'll have learned something. You'll have moved one step closer to where you want to be. Because here's the truth. The worst thing isn't failing. The worst thing is doing nothing.
You've felt it before, haven't you? That feeling of stagnation, a lack of progress. The feeling that no matter what you do, the world continues to pass you by. The reason that you aren't making progress towards your goals is because you think too much. All of these negative thoughts like, oh, what if I fail? What will they think of me? What if I'm not good enough? Oh, I could never do that. That's why you need to turn your brain off. If your thoughts are the thing that's holding you back, the solution is to simply stop thinking. Once you do, you need to act, get in motion, execute on your ideas, because the faster you take action, the faster you fail. The faster you fail, the faster you will be able to grow. And the faster you grow, the faster you will ultimately achieve success and accomplish your wildest dreams. You have to understand that if you simply stop thinking and start taking action, you will build a level of efficiency, a level of discipline that makes it impossible for you to not achieve your goals.
Successful people stay ready because they know the moment's going to come. And they can't let the previous moment or the previous day or the previous thing affect the moment that's going to be there. And that's why you romanticize with your future. Be ready for the moment because it's coming. Don't let the previous moment affect the next one. Stay present, stay focused, look for them. You were built for this week. Maybe this moment right now is the catalyst. Please, stay emotionally regulated. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. It's okay. I know the end of the story. None of us are getting out of here alive. I have this great quote: to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. That's your job this week. And you gotta be ready because someone needs you. And you gotta be on the ready at any given moment for that person who needs you. This week, there's gonna be a couple of those moments. I want you to crush them.
The bittersweet reality is, sometimes it's the things that break your heart that ultimately give you the greatest clarity. In those moments that leave you shattered, the moments where you feel like nothing will ever be the same, that's when you realize that some things shouldn't and can't remain the same. Heartbreak has a funny way of clearing out what you thought that you wanted, what you knowingly or unknowingly have outgrown, and revealing what you actually need, what your soul actually needs. So if you're hurting, there's only one thing to do. Keep moving through it. As long as you stay open, stay honest, and keep going, the clarity will come. And it'll be well worth the wait.
The higher you fly, the deeper you fall. So if you want to fly high, do it. But if you fly high without somebody telling you before you're starting the flight that there will also come the descent, then I think it's kind of blind. Okay? Then I think it can hit you too hard sometimes without knowing it's gonna come. So in a way, just to keep it in mind that there is something in our lifetime which is always balancing out.
My entire life changed when I realized you don't plan your future. You plan your actions today, and those actions
create your future. Stop worrying about your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, or anything like that. Start focusing on the actions in the present, the things you can do today that will compound positively towards the future that you desire. If you do that, you can change your entire life.
True confidence isn't loud. It's built in the quiet. In the hours you put in when no one's around to see it. It's in the choices you make when nobody's watching, and in the discipline you keep even when motivation fades. When you keep showing up day after day without needing validation, you unlock a level of strength that no one can shake. It's knowing that no matter what, you're ready. Because when you put in the work, there's nothing left to prove.
Do you know what you think? Because if you don't know what you think, somebody else owns your mind. Try to avoid the hard questions of self-discovery and you'll be left with a painful mystery at the end of your life. This world wants you to be numb because to the people that run it, your mindlessness is a money printer. But I wish you wouldn't pay their salaries so graciously. Nobody's gonna come around and save you with a free pass to health and fulfillment. You are your own hero in this movie, so start acting like it.
The difference between a dream and a goal is a timeline and accountability. The next year is going to go by whether you're doing something about your life or not. I mean, just sitting around dreaming someday, someday I'm going to get a different job. Someday I'm going to change this. Well, someday ain't a day of the week.
The energy required to start doing something is way more than the energy required to continue doing the thing. And the beginning of doing anything results in the lowest amount of reward, both internal and external, than when you've been doing it for ages.
Those racing thoughts you have, those sleepless nights, the anxiety, it's all there for a reason. It's telling you something. It's telling you that you need to take action. All of those emotions are telling you that you're meant for more than this. So don't ignore it.
He said, I dream my painting, and then I paint my dream. They get the picture in the mind and then paint it on the wall or on the canvas. Well, if we would relax and build the image in our mind of how we'd like to see ourselves, how we'd like to see ourselves acting in life, relating to other people, our social life, see ourselves in the position we hold, and then take that picture and describe it, write it out in the present tense. I am so happy now that I see myself, and write it out.
You will never become who you want to become so long as you are a slave to your desires. If you cannot control your desire for food, your desire to be lazy, your desire to act out of emotion, they will control you. We all have our short-term impulses, but I'm sure that you have long-term goals. And if you ever plan to achieve them, then you need to learn how to take control of the situation and act differently than your impulses would like you to. A lot of people's idea of freedom is just doing whatever you want. But doing whatever you want actually makes you the ultimate slave, because whatever impulse enters your brain, whatever you feel like doing in the moment, you have no control over whether or not you do that. You just do it. That is not freedom. That is mental slavery, and that will hold you back from everything you actually want.
But the idea is this never peak mindset, that I will continue to evolve and become the next best, greatest version of myself. But for Christ's sake, never be the person who says my life has peaked, the best of me is behind me, and you're always hand-wringing and talking about the good old times that are back behind you. There's something massively wrong if all you're doing is living in the past and never giving yourself newer, better, more challenging hobbies, experiences, abilities, traits, and skills.
Brother, your fear of taking risks is killing your potential. You might think that the unknown is the scariest thing out there, but the real danger is playing it safe, because you're not avoiding failure, you're avoiding growth. Every time you play it safe, you're burying your ambition deeper and deeper underground. You're watching from the sidelines as others pass you by in the game of life, getting further and further. You're stuck in the same place while they rise. Eventually, you have to ask yourself what's worse, taking the risk or living with the regrets of never trying. Because here's the truth. Every success is built on risk. You can either face your fear and take that leap, or stay where you are and never get anywhere. So feel that fear, take the risk, and do it anyway. Because fear is not your enemy. It's the signal that you're about to grow. Don't let fear control your life. Because the only thing scarier than failure is never trying at all.
People that win long term are the people that make it so hard to lose that it becomes easy to win. People are walking around, brother, and they're setting themselves up for failure. They wake up, they're on their phones till 12 in the bed scrolling. They don't study, they don't learn, they don't self-develop. Imagine you made it so hard to lose that winning was just kind of like inevitable. So set up the systems in your life. If you're trying to lose weight, don't have junk food inside of your fridge, get rid of it. Do you know how much energy is expended in the battle of things that you're supposed to purge from your life? Just get rid of them completely and focus on making it so hard to lose that it becomes easy to win. The person you have to spend the most time listening to in your life is yourself. Try not to lose their respect. Self-respect and self-esteem largely comes from having faith in your own word.
You don't build confidence by shouting affirmations in mirror, but by giving yourself a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt.
When people hear you speak, they should think that they're listening to a champion, to a leader, to a world changer. Because the way you speak, it should represent who you are and where you're headed. Only positive things, no problems, only solutions. Not how hard your life is, but how hopeful you are for the future.
It's just a bad day, and it's not a bad life. You know, even the greats feel down like this at times. Loss is lost, man. Like, you can't do anything about that. You just have to remind yourself that you started on this path for a reason. When you made that decision in the first place, you weren't lost. And while things may feel bleak now, there's brighter days ahead. Things are gonna calm back down. And you just have to stay steady and keep chugging along.
Look at you. Look how far you've come. You faced your trauma, and you came out on the other side. You can do anything you put your mind to.
I promise you, if you put your mind to it, and you work hard, and you never give up, and you do not listen to the rejection, you can achieve anything that life throws your way.
There's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want.
Your imagination, you the only one can see it. You're the only one can see it. The problem with your imagination, though, is you tell it to the wrong people. How many times have you had this really incredible idea, and you took it to your family and your friends? You shared it with them, and they shot it down. You know why they shot it down? Because they couldn't see it. See, all this stuff you've been imagining, you ought to start working on it. Your real life is in your imagination. Dust off your imagination and just go for it. You got to try. Quit waking up thinking you ain't got no say-so in your life. You have a choice in this matter. You can't stop what happened to you, but you can doggone sure do something about what happened to you. Life is 10% what happened to you, is 90% what you do about it.
I said it before, I'll say it again as well. The cherry on the top is action. The most important thing after all of this is action. You won't receive any of this until it's action. Ideas are just ideas until action. So that's enough of the action. And then lastly, I'll leave you at this. Get a piece of paper. I'm getting sick of saying it, but I'm gonna say it all year. I'm gonna say it as many times as possible in this 365-day series. Get a piece of paper and write down what you want to accomplish in your best self. Keep it in your pocket every single day. Whatever it is, make sure it's in front of your mind every single day, because then that's on your conscious, and then your subconscious connect emotion to it. Then your emotional connection and consciousness is going to be connected, and your energy is going to be more motivated.
Don't violate the conclusions of your own philosophy by not executing and taking action. Taking notes, rolling up your sleeves, going to work, commit yourself to learning so that you can get smarter for the days ahead.
We all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have. And it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.
One of the things you have to understand about life is everything changes and everything ends. And that kind of sounds heavy on the front end, but it's a truth. If everything changes and everything ends, number one, it should make you appreciate what you have right now. And then my view is what's next is always better. If I make it so, it's my job to make it so.
I call it the dark room, where you're alone. No cell phones, no music, no TVs, no computers. You by yourself. Very few people want to be alone anymore. They want to be around noise and people, and you can't think. Be alone, go to that dark space. In that dark space, shut life off for a little bit. Go to a dark place in your mind and figure out what the you want to be.
The superpower of learning to be alone and enjoying it. Well, I think it's critical, and I do think that these times where you just think about things, just be alone and think about things, are so rare these days. And I think during those rare times is when you really get to understand what you actually believe or don't believe.
Champions aren't found on the podium with their hand up. No, champions are found in the lab studies, the thousands of hours of hard work when no one's watching. That's what makes the will unstoppable. When you're in here and no one else is, and you're pushing yourself harder than anybody with no one around.
It begins right now with no one looking, man. And how you hold yourself, how you see yourself. What do you do when no one's watching?
Our minds are morphing from minute to minute if we let them. If you are not paying attention, if you are on cruise control, then your mind is not under your own control. We can't be in cruise control. You can't let your mind be in cruise control. You have to be cognizant of what you're thinking. You have to be aware of how you are being influenced. Because in this day and age, right now, if you aren't careful, you can slide down the path of least resistance, the path to weakness, and the path to a lack of control as to what is happening in our lives. In your life, life will happen to you instead of life happening for you. Do not allow that. You have to take control. You've got to do something to get control of your brain. You got to check yourself. Control the things you think about. You can actually control how you feel. You can control what you think, and you can definitely control what you do. You got to be the master of your mind.
It's always the quiet work that you put in with your own two hands when no one else is watching. That's the 1 degree of separation from you and everyone else when it comes to productivity. It's the quiet work you put in when no one else is watching.
It's not what you get that makes you valued. It's what you become. So part of the key here is to set the kind of goals that will make something of you. Don't set them too low so that you don't have to grow and you don't have to read and you don't have to try and you don't have to stretch. Don't set them too low. And then don't sell out. Don't go for something that's going to cost you your virtue or cost you your values or sell out your principles. There's a good middle road here to follow. Goals that will inspire, Goals that'll help you grow, change, develop, and become better than you are.
Okay, what's through that door? Well, the only way to fucking find out is to walk through it. You gotta take the action. There's no other way. It's like you can't defeat an enemy that you don't fight against. It's like, oh, they're charging at me. They're charging at me. Okay, yeah. So what are you gonna do about it? Life is charging at you every fucking second. What are you gonna do about it? Charge back.